Donald Trump, loved by millions in America, but absolutely hated by entire nations abroad. In today's video, we expose 10 countries where Trump is not welcome, where leaders have publicly condemned him, and people have protested his very presence. This isn't just about politics, it's about how one man shook the entire world. Some say he speaks the truth, others say he's dangerous. But what causes a whole country to rise against a leader they don't even elect? Let's find out. Number 10, Mexico. Build the wall. That chant became a symbol of Trump's campaign, but for Mexicans, it was a declaration of hostility. Trump's remarks about Mexican immigrants being criminals and rapists sparked outrage. Mexican officials condemned him, artists painted murals mocking him, and the public staged mass protests. In 2017, over 20,000 people marched through Mexico City. Trump, you're not welcome here. Even Mexico's former president Vicente Fox launched a Twitter war, calling Trump's wall a racist monument. When Trump threatened tariffs unless Mexico stopped migrants from Central America, tensions hit boiling point. Though the wall was never fully completed, the psychological and diplomatic damage endured. Mexican media outlets ran aggressive headlines, comedians mocked Trump nightly, and school textbooks even addressed Trump's policies as a case study in xenophobia. For many, Trump's rhetoric felt like a personal attack on their culture, people, and dignity. Number 9, Germany. Donald Trump and Angela Merkel were ideological opposites. Merkel stood for global cooperation, climate responsibility, and liberal democracy. Trump championed America first, often at the expense of alliances. He repeatedly criticized Germany's trade surplus and NATO spending, but things escalated when Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord, a move Merkel labeled as deeply regrettable and wrong. In 2017, Merkel declared, "We Europeans must take our fate into our own hands." That was a subtle but direct message. Germany could no longer rely on the U.S. under Trump. German newspapers portrayed Trump as a threat to global order, and his approval rating in Germany fell below 15%. During his G7 visit, Trump's behavior clashed with European leaders. German citizens protested his visits, and even Chancellor Merkel's own party began reassessing their stance toward the U.S. The rift marked a shift in post-WMTO diplomacy. No country reacted more explosively to Trump than Iran. By abandoning the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, Trump not only reversed years of delicate diplomacy, but also pushed Iran into economic chaos. The sanctions imposed under his administration devastated ordinary Iranians, skyrocketing inflation and limiting access to basic needs. Iranian leaders, including President Hassan Rouhani and Supreme Leader Khamenei, called Trump a charlatan and a liar. After the killing of General Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. drone strike, millions flooded the streets of Tehran in mourning and outrage. Iranian parliamentarians even chanted, "Death to America," inside the legislature. Iran's state TV ran nightly segments demonizing Trump, and children in schools were taught about the evil American president. For many Iranians, Trump symbolized aggression, oppression, and imperialism. 7. Canada. You wouldn't expect America's friendly neighbor to hate Trump, but they did. Trump imposed steep tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, accusing Canada of unfair trade. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the move insulting and unacceptable. Trump responded by labeling Trudeau very dishonest and weak following a tense G7 meeting. Canadians were stunned. Protests broke out across cities, memes ridiculing Trump flooded social media, and calls to boycott American products rose. Even Canadian newspapers that traditionally supported conservatives condemned Trump. One editorial said, "This president is the most disruptive force in North American diplomacy since the War of 1812. For a country known for politeness and diplomacy, their reaction was unprecedented. 6. France. Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron started off with smiles and handshakes, but the honeymoon ended quickly. Macron, a staunch globalist, clashed with Trump on climate change, NATO funding, and nationalism. When Macron said, "Nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism," during a WWI memorial, it was a clear swipe at Trump. French citizens took to the streets during Trump's 2018 visit, launching massive protests under the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. The now iconic inflatable Trump chicken with golden hair made international headlines. French media often depicted Trump as a caricature of American arrogance. Satirical shows ridiculed his speeches, and French intellectuals debated how the US could elect someone so controversial. Macron later said, Europe needed to defend itself with or without America. 5. China part. The US-China relationship rapidly deteriorated under Trump's administration. His trade war imposed tariffs on over $500 billion of Chinese goods, hurting both economies. Chinese retaliation was swift. Tariffs, bans on American products, and aggressive nationalist propaganda. But things got worse with COVID-19. Trump repeatedly called it the China virus and blamed China for the global pandemic. This stoked racism and violence against Asians globally and infuriated the Chinese government. State-controlled newspapers branded Trump a clown and enemy of progress. Diplomatic meetings were canceled. American journalists were expelled. Tech tensions escalated as Huawei and TikTok were targeted. Trump had turned China into a political punching bag, and the Chinese people didn't forget. Number 4. United Kingdom part. Despite the historic special relationship, Trump's time in office tested the UK's patience. During his state visit in 2018, over 250,000 protesters gathered in London. The Trump baby blimp soared over Parliament Square, symbolizing national discontent. Trump criticized Theresa May's handling of Brexit, backed her political rival Boris Johnson, and publicly feuded with London's mayor Sadiq Khan. British lawmakers debated banning Trump from entering the UK. Multiple petitions gathered over 1 million signatures. Even the royal family wasn't spared from controversy. Queen Elizabeth hosted Trump for a state dinner, but the event was overshadowed by media backlash. Polls showed that over 70% of Britons disapproved of Trump, making him one of the least popular U.S. presidents in British history. Number 3. Venezuela. Trump's aggressive stance against Nicolas Maduro created deep divisions. While some Venezuelans welcomed U.S. pressure to oust Maduro, others saw Trump as an imperialist meddling in Latin American affairs. Trump imposed sweeping sanctions that worsened the already catastrophic economic crisis. He recognized opposition leader Juan Guaidó as the legitimate president, which infuriated the Maduro regime. Maduro responded by labeling Trump a thug, terrorist, and the most dangerous man alive. Venezuelan state TV aired anti-Trump propaganda around the clock. Schools portrayed the U.S. as a colonial threat, and political murals featured Trump with devil horns. Trump's legacy in Venezuela remains one of chaos and confrontation. Number 2. North Korea part. The Trump-Kim saga is one for the history books. Initially, Trump referred to Kim Jong-un as Little Rocket Man and threatened fire and fury. North Korea responded with nuclear tests and threats to strike U.S. territories. But then came the surprising summit in Singapore. Trump became the first U.S. president to meet a North Korean leader and even stepped into North Korea. For a moment, peace seemed possible, but the talks eventually failed, and hostilities resumed. North Korea's official statements went from praising Trump to condemning him. He was once called a wise leader and later mocked as a dotard. While Trump craved a historic deal, North Korea used him for photo ops, never abandoning its weapons. Number 1. Pakistan part. In a 2018 tweet, Trump accused Pakistan of giving nothing but lies deceit in return for billions in U.S. aid. That single message triggered national outrage. Military ties were frozen, funding was cut, and street protests erupted across major cities. Pakistani politicians from all parties united to condemn Trump. Foreign Minister Khawaja Asif declared that the U.S. had failed in Afghanistan and was scapegoating Pakistan. Citizens burned effigies of Trump and American flags. Pakistani media ran non-stop anti-Trump coverage, and public opinion turned sharply negative. Trump's comments also strengthened anti-American sentiment, which radical groups later exploited in recruitment narratives. From allies to enemies, Trump didn't hold back, and neither did the world. His presidency redefined global diplomacy. Some say he spoke truth to power. Others say he tore down decades of trust. Was it bold leadership or reckless isolation? One thing's for sure, Trump changed how the world sees the United States. Which country do you think hated Trump the most, and why? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking global stories. See you in the next video.